Hello and welcome to our weekly talk show, The Interview, and our special segment, Life and Times with HT, wherein we bring you interesting conversations with well-known people who take us through their private moments, their pain, their joys, their success and failures, and more importantly, what shaped them and helped them to be where they are today. An 850 feet long painting, Tagore's poems in watercolors, sculptors from spare parts of a motorcycle, and artwork using 4,500 brass bells. One can go on and on because Paresh Maity's art has a wide range. It was at the age of 7 that he saw artisans chiseling Durga idols at the village Patshala. That was the spark, he says. And when he did manage to get admission in the Arts College in Kolkata, he travelled 8 hours every day to attend classes. I didn't have the money to live in the city, so I went back home every evening. From then to now, counting his millions, Paresh Maity has arrived in every sense of the term. Counted amongst the best, Maity is one of the most sought-after Indian painter. We have him here with us to tell us about his life from a Patshala. Yes, not school, but a Patshala, to making it big here in India and abroad. Paresh Maity is our guest in this edition of our weekly talk show, The Interview, in our special segment, Life and Times with HT. Welcome to the show, Mr. Paresh Maity, and thank you for being here with us.
It's a great pleasure to be with you, Kumkum ji. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Before we rewind a few years, let me begin by talking about your more recent work, The Sound of Silence, with 4,500 brass bells.
As you know, that bell, sound and the bell is very, very, integral part of our life. Either bell of the fire brigades or maybe, some far away from church or from a temple. Even there are many fields, there are cattles there with the bell. About 10 years back, so I said, let me pick up this, integral part, this object and create a beautiful sculpture called Sound of Silence, which was first exhibited in Sydney. Then it was exhibited many places all over the world. And finally, it has got its own home.
Which is?
The New Delhi's Terminal 1. And it is a very beautiful, graceful woman head. It's 12 feet tall, 8 to 9 feet depth, and is so graceful the moment you see, and the light, sparks on that, you will see how each and every bell, keeps that glittering beauty, the sound with the silence.
So, amalgamating sound and silence, what is it that haunts you more, the silence or the sound?
Both. There is a dark, that's why you can realize the light.
Let me talk about your longest painting, 850 feet. What was the inspiration and how tough was it to handle a painting of that size?
It was all God's grace. Yes, in the beginning, it was 2009. It sounded very, like vague. I wouldn't say tough, because I've never, though that time, never heard a painting can be that long. Really, I asked the people, they were asking me to do the painting, that is it centimeter or is it, they said, no, it's a feet. And finally, one day I had to ask them that really I want to visit the site. So when I went to the site, it was for a moment, I said, my goodness, that big painting I'll be able to do. I always believe that whatever I do, probably I am the tool, but someone else is doing. So then I said, yes, I'll do it. I had the time limit for a year. And finally, I started that, which is called Indian Odyssey, which reflects India's art, culture, people, places, festival, everything. It starts from, Kolkata. It goes all the way to Kashmir. After I finished that painting, sometimes I said, is that true that I have done that long painting? It is not only in that painting case, but many painting. The painting, you can see at the background, the Mahakumbh painting when I was there early this year to see.
This one?
Yes. And after doing the painting, sometimes I feel that, is that true that I have done this painting? So there is some force, something which really does. And I'm like a tool.
Was length a problem or a roadblock or a deterrent?
I always, find the challenge and love to, handle the space. But the moment I start as spontaneous, let it go. Then it goes spontaneously. The moment I think that no, this many, this, that size, then there is this issue. But otherwise, it takes me very spontaneously with my color brush, line forms, and my imagination.
And then let's talk about the watercolors based on the last 15 poems of Tagore, Shesh, Lekha. Tell me about those.
Those are the last poems of genius Rabindranath Tagore. Pritish Nandi, who is no more today, he translated them into English. And he told me one day that, Paresh, your watercolors are exactly like those poems. I would be very happy if you can really translate that word to your color and paint on paper. I said, I will try. I never say I'll do it. I will try. I will try my best. My koshish karega. So I did some smaller like layout. Yes, I could see that I'm not really, finishing. I'm going to the endless horizon. It was so poetic. Fill the flower with the color, and suddenly the lamp is lit up near the twilight.
You called this work a journey. Take me through the highs and lows and the challenges when you were painting Shesh Lekha.
I never think that there is any challenge. I just play, the kid, they play with anything. And इसको खेला बोलता है. So I play with my color, with my, brush, line, forms, imagination, and passion, love. It was very beautiful, feeling, very great feeling to really convert Guruji's poems to my painting.
In fact, let me quote you. And you said about the series, working on this series took me into an other world. It was totally a different experience, unquote.
Whenever an artist creates anything, that is always a new discovery which was never there. From that, you always learn something, you always discover something, you realize something. And of course, that, those poems, so deep, such deep feeling to transform into watercolor. Really, that was something very interesting feeling for me, which I'll never forget.
Out of those 15 poems, which was the one which touched you, moved you, inspired you the most?
It is very difficult. Very difficult because एक से बढ़कर एक. It's not a mathematics that 5 plus 5 is 10. Art is very subjective. One has to realize, one has to feel it, and महसूस करना होता है.
So in 15 poems में सबसे ज्यादा कौन सी पोएम पे महसूस किया और क्या महसूस किया?
There is that poem where there is a night and stars are twinkling. In watercolor, to handle that strength, dark and the light, I was going haywire. But I know that when something is giving trouble, then finally the best comes out of it. So that really came out of it. And I could see, my goodness, I don't think I'll be able to do again this.
Any lines you remember which you can recite for us?
He said that I'm not, leaving this world. I'm going towards a new horizon, an unlimited horizon. আমি ওই দিগন্তের দিকে চলে যাচ্ছি. So it is going to a different world.
And he knew his end was coming.
Of course he knew.
How important is size in your paintings? Because there is a 850 feet long and then there are miniatures of 2 or 3 inches.
See, you might say that painting is so small, the chota hai, abhi ho jayega. It's not that. The details you have to put in that is lot of hard work and lot of painstaking. But yes, when you do a large painting, you get lost. You don't know from where to start, where to finish, what kind of composition to create. But really, I love to explore the scale. Sometimes people say, oh, please do a painting, I want a large painting. I ask, what is the size? 3 feet by 4 feet. I said,
that's not large.
If you ask me 20 feet or 15 feet, then I think it's okay, it is size. But 4 feet is not really, it's a miniature. But you put the same effort either in a miniature or a medium size or even a big scale.
But handling a 2-3 inches miniature, that must be really very tough.
That is what is the tough. If you see my smaller painting, and if I show you the photograph of that painting, I can challenge you, you will not be able to tell that what is the size of the painting. Because even in the smaller miniature painting,
there is depth.
There will be the scale, you can measure it. So scale, even that big to the small, is the same. And that I have tried many times to ask viewer that to tell me the size of the painting.
And they've gone wrong.
No, always wrong.
Were there times, particularly during the 850 feet painting or Tagore's poems, when you threw up your hands and said, I cannot do this anymore?
I never thought of it. I never think of it. I never get that feeling that, no, really, I'm fed up, or I feel happy that if I can leave everything and just, I can sink into my art. Because kala mera jeevan hai.
Have there been moments when you have abandoned some work midway through because it's not coming out the way you wanted it?
I never do call abandoned. But yes, sometimes I start a painting and I leave it. Maybe I think that, yes, I was thinking to do something and maybe it's going into a different direction. But that is also art. But I keep them in the studio. There are many, incomplete canvases are around. Sometimes I'm sitting. Suddenly I find a form. Like Asman mein na, we see sometimes that beautiful form of the cloud. Sometimes I feel lion. Sometimes I feel, some new something, some faces. Somebody is flying. So then I get those images all on those canvases, and I revisit those canvases. Again, I start. So I never abandon. I never destroy.
So you just leave them incomplete for some time at a later point to go back to them.
You will not believe there are paintings still today in 20 years old back I've started. अभी तक खत्म नहीं हुआ. So it is, I don't know when I will get that mode to start and finish that painting. But sometimes it happens immediately. In maybe 2 hours, that incomplete painting is finished.
How often have you found it difficult to let your work, and I'm saying your work, actually go? Is there a sense of attachment, or is it easy to let go and move on?
I have learned as a very child that it is more better detachment than the attachment. That I have realized from the Buddhism, that the moment you get attached to it something, then you might feel bad, you might feel odd, you might get pain. Because I create, I am the servant, I create for everybody. So why should I attach with? हम क्यों अपने को रस्सी से ना बांधेगा? So I always feel like giving, because I create to give the joy, happiness to this world, to universe, to everybody. So why should I get attached with that?
But isn't the feeling every time you see a painting go, isn't it a feeling of seeing your child go, and hence difficult?
Yes, you know it is your creation or your child is going. And it's never feel it's difficult, because I always think हम तो कुछ लेके नहीं आया था ना, तो किया तो ठीक है, हम तो, my work is to give it to the people, give it to the society. So I should give. But why should I feel bad?
So no painting you were really attached to, or would say, this one I'm going to keep and not let go?
Yes, I do keep some painting. I do keep some painting for, like later on, maybe I want to do a big exhibition. So I think that this painting is very important, a transition to show this painting in my forthcoming exhibition. So sometimes for a good body of work to show your journey, your voyage, you need to keep it, but that is not the attachment.
What is the bar you set for yourself as a painter? And every time that you match it or reach that bar or level, what is your next? And you must have gone through that many times in your life.
I don't think that I have reached. अभी भी मैं खोज में ही है.
I know when I asked you that, do you think you have arrived?
No, I have not arrived. Still I am searching. Life is a great school. So I never think that I have arrived. I think the moment anybody thinks that you have arrived, that's the death.
But with every work of yours, you must be setting consciously or unconsciously a bar. And you say, this is where this must go. And you match that bar with every work. So once you've done that, what then is your next level?
So that I challenge with myself all the time. Like when I came back from the Mahakumbh this year, I was restless to create a painting. And it was unbelievable, one large painting I have created. After that, I have done few of them. I'm always trying to discover the unknown territory and unknown feeling and emotion in my new art or new piece of art in any form. Yes, it happens sometimes, maybe, out of, let's say, 5 paintings, let's say 3 can be, like ultimate. So it happens.
The image that captivated you during school, rather Patshala, as you say, were artists making idols of Goddess Durga.
Correct.
That, you told me, was the spark. Take me through those moments and through those images and recollections and reflections.
Talking to you, still I can feel that I've gone back to age of my 7. And standing in front of that idol and the artisan making the Durga idol. Every day I would go by crook or by hook. I was only 7 and I was hypnotized that how it is coming and shaping, transforming. And that was the spark. I thought that this is really very good, amazing. In Nirakar to Sakar is getting a form, getting the beauty, getting the, and then celebration. So that was really a spark. I picked up the clay and started doing clay toys. That was my journey began at the age
In
of.
fact, I was coming to that you actually started working with clay, and that too clay which was borrowed. And you did birds, you did toys, and then started selling them in a village fair.
Because I had no money. I come from a very poor, lower class family. And so I had no money to support. And so that's why I had to, sell those, to buy colors, buy paper, and to buy more color, more mitti, to create more sculpture, more clay model, do all this. So that was like vice versa. So it was kind of a struggle for existence.
But you also borrowed clay. Initially, you borrowed
Yes,
clay.
I really asked them. As a kid, if you ask, मेरे को भी थोड़ा दे दो ना, so anybody will give you, like a clay, बच्चा पूछ रहा है. Until today, before Durga Puja, in Chittaranjan Park, there are some artisans comes and they make the, idols. I always go through in the morning, sometimes the morning walk, I watch, I talk to them, I go. And whenever the puja comes, I reach 2 a.m. I took a very late night flight. I saw the pandals and the idols the whole night.
But considering that you started and your inspiration came from seeing those idols, to later graduating, if I may use the term, to canvases, nature, etc. And you really didn't paint very much of the Durga idols. So why did you somewhere deviate or give up that?
Well, I started doing a lot of murtis, but they were more Saraswati. I do paint Durga once in a blue moon. The deity is the Saraswati. Till today, I worship Saraswati. So I used to really do big, murtis of Saraswati and sell it to schools. Not really I did do, but I did Kalis, Durga, Lakshmi. So I did. And Shiva, I did, that kind of. But Durga, truly I have never. But that was the inspiration. But I do paint Durga sometimes.
But none of those idols actually are the mainstay of your work.
You were right. But if you see the color, like red, like blue, yellow, green, like white, there is no in between.
So would you say that you probably didn't later paint the idols, but the color imagery, the sharp color imagery in your paintings you reflected?
Big way. As you know, my paintings are more nature-based. And I always love to see the nature, the light, the color, the cloud, the rain, the monsoon, the night, the starry night. So I want to see all this to paint and dance,
You had no exposure to art as a kid, except the gripping thought that this is what I want to do. Take me through that. Take me through that feeling. Take me through that compelling sentiment and the emotion.
Yes, you are right. I had no exposure of art. I have nothing, no idea about art. What is art? I just saw that artisans are making their, murtis. It made me go into deeper and deeper into the world of art, where I really completely मैं डूब गया है उसमें और अभी भी डूबा ही है. So I think sometimes really how, and it's a very some special force, I don't know what it is, doing that, and I'm creating.
Then from a Patshala to Hamilton High School, where you told your uncle, your kaku, that how can I study here? It's only the kids of the rich who get admission here?
1852, the school was established, one of the oldest school in India. He was my father's very close friend. I used to call him Kaku. And he
Arun
said,
Kaku.
Arun Kaku. He used to call my father Kaku. Kaka. More Kaka. Kaka. কি করছো ছেলেটার পড়াশোনা হবে না, he will not study. He's doing murtis and all this, my father would say. So Arun Kaku said, at least let him go to the school. Okay, I'll take you to the Hamilton High School. I said, Baba, it is the rich, famous people. It is like a St. Stephen of Delhi, very famous school, and rich. You need uniform. You need a private tuition. I had nothing. But again, there's some force. I got admission. That was another transition in my life. Slowly, the painting was becoming more dominating. The clay modeling, the idol is more like a recessive. It was like little, slowly fading away. And then painting was coming. And that was watercolor. Because very first day I realized that's the most difficult medium in painting. I said, I have to explore this. And still I'm doing that.
And your worst moment was when you scored 60% and got a first division and you said, oh my God, this is disastrous.
Yes, it was 1981. I remember it was in my class 10 matriculation examination. Those days to get 60% mark, it was like this. Today, everybody gets 100 out of 100. My father's friend, colleagues, they said, hey, Kaku, let him go to medical or engineering. Those are the two things that anybody could understand those days. किसी को medical or engineering है तो सब कुछ हो गया इस दुनिया में. So that was really funny, moment, and that was a conflict. I left home, I ran away from home, came to Delhi.
With 1,300 rupees on the Kalka Mail.
Kalka Mail in general compartment. But I went back after 1.5 months.
Though you had said, I will never go back home.
I didn't go back home.
You went back to the village.
No, I was staying with my closest friend, classmate from Hamilton School.
And later when you got admission in the art college in Kolkata, you travelled 8 hours every day from Tamluk to attend college. And you never missed a single day.
Yes, I had no money to stay in Kolkata. And Tamluk is about 100 kilometers southwest of Kolkata. Those days, I'm talking about 1983, it was very difficult. Train, bus, cycle, rickshaw, walk. So I used to start every day almost 5:30, 6 o'clock, early morning, winter, summer, monsoon, anytime, and coming back almost average midnight, sometimes by, truck, at the back of the truck, sometimes, like with sometimes walk, there were nothing. So 6 years I did that. I was never absent in college.
When Jahangir Art Gallery threw open its doors for you, you were described as a mid-career artist. Looking at yourself today, how would you describe yourself?
Till I told you I am the beginner. I don't know what is mid-career and I have reached or anything. I don't know all those terms.
It is here that you also did sculptures from scrap motorcycle parts. Tell me, why motorcycle parts and why the scrap?
As a child, when I used to go by bus, by truck, to attend the college, even early age, I always, looking from the window to out, I always feel that everything is moving maybe. As you know, artists are, pagal hota hai. So it was beautiful summer. I saw, somebody, a gardener or somebody came with a Royal Enfield Bullet motorbike. So I was looking at the motorbike and this fuel tank, it looks like, and suddenly I saw, when the rain is coming, sometimes you see a lot of ants are going in a very, very systematic, very disciplined way. I was looking at the ants like this and I was looking at the motorbike, that fuel tank. I said, my goodness, this fuel tank looks like the ant body. That's it. That's the artist. So I asked one of my friends from there, do you know where can I buy the motorbike, old motorbike? Then I made a very large installation using, 100 motorbike, creating 50 giant ants. When I was going, they said, ant artist, ant artist. And that installation is still with me. After that, I added also wing with the big old ceiling fan, the wings, blades. And that installation also I did. And really, it touches people's heart that how you can create from scrap to an amazing piece of art.
Later or before, what were your other experiments? If not scrap, then what else? And some those worked, some those didn't.
My concept is to transform everything into a piece of art, either in painting, sculpture, ceramics, installation, drawing, like etchings, even painting on, wall or in a table, even making a clothes. Why should I restrict with only paper and canvas? So anything I see, I want to, convert into a piece of art.
And then you did a film on monsoons. And if I'm not mistaken, it stems from the memories of water in Tamluk.
That was the first film I created to capture the rain before rain, after rain. Of course, the memory goes back to my childhood time, Tamluk, because it has a lot of rain.
While on Tamluk, take me back to your childhood days. That what has been left behind, that you continue to carry with you.
Of the left behind is the watercolor. Today, everything is very shortcut, but watercolor is very deep, very difficult, and really you have to give your life into it. So that is one thing, not only fading away from Tamluk, it's fading away from the globe. I really want to continue and return to the society and keep it alive.
From not having 800 rupees to pay for a room to now counting your millions and having auditors sitting at home waiting for you to calculate, how does it feel?
I worship Saraswati. I paint, I create. If something comes, I always feel a bonus.
That's putting it very, very mildly.
No, it's a true fact. Even today, when I do a large commission work and all this, they say, "Kuch advance de dega?" I said, "Let me do the work, please. Once it's ready, फिर देखे जाएगा." I believe that God, I have to do this. Rest will follow.
But a lot has followed, and you're still counting your millions.
I don't know that I count my art. I think of my art in my dream, in my sleep, in 24 hours.
But not the money that comes with it.
Not really.
What does money mean to you, considering that you walked to college, considering you had no money to pay for a room? What does it mean to you today?
It supports. Last 1 year, I was doing an installation sculpture called Moksha. Huge big skull, which was showcased in Art Mumbai. And I started this. It was actually an immersive experience. It had light, sound, and, smoke. And the ultimate truth of our life. I said, I have to do it. You won't believe. If that was not there, if the money was not there, I couldn't create that, because that is a piece of art. Not that anybody or everybody will acquire it or possible to acquire it. It's huge, big. And I don't think that anybody will easily to acquire a skull. So to support that, to support my art, which I started even in my early age, to sell clay toys, to buy color. So it is exactly like this. To get a studio, you need that to support your support system, to buy a canvas, the best canvas in the world, best easel, what you see, the best easel in the world. So it's a support system.
Okay, that's putting it mildly, but I'll let it go. And you once said that Picasso inspired you. Take me through that and the other influences on your life, persona, and work.
See, Picasso was fearless. He was a genius. As I said, that I would love to transfer anything, everything into a piece of art. That Picasso also did it. He was always changing. If you see my early paintings now, as you said, mid-career, they're always changing. There are always new thing coming up. Picasso said at the age of 90, I want to be a child. So if you see, not in this way, if you see that I really like a child, I play like a child, play with color and everything. So that really, his line, his forms, his confidence, it really gives me a lot of inspiration.
You know, while on watercolors, you have said, watercolors are my heart and soul. So just explain that to me.
As a child, I started taking a, just piece of paper from my class notebook, a little bit, those tube colors and cake colors. And in a short time, you can create a piece of art. So watercolor is a big, big challenge. As my memory goes back, I started that very early age. So today, it is also my heart and soul. Like I start, then it happens something, and you have to do it very quick before the water dries up. It has to wait and wait process. And I created like minimum work, maximum expression. So there are a lot of untold stories, but it is there. So they said, समझ में ही नहीं आया कैसे कैसे हुआ. And I said, वो दोबारा create नहीं होगा. It was an accident.
But do you say to yourself, ये समझ में ही नहीं आया, ये कैसे कैसे हुआ, and it was an accident?
It is. As I said in the beginning, that after finishing the painting, I say, is that true? I have done this work. It's a sheer accident. And it transforms on its own. I don't search for the subject. Subject is searching me. अरे मेरे को paint करो, मेरे को sculpt करो.
Rajasthan, and I quote you here again, made my works explode with color, and there has been no looking back since. Just take me through your Rajasthan experience.
So my first trip, 1990, from Bikaner house, there were buses. I took a bus, RTDC bus, reached Jaipur and Ajmer, and then travel. Since then, I don't know how many hundreds of times I've been to Rajasthan. That majestic, amazing place. The moment I reach, the moment when I drive, the moment I cross the Haryana border and reach Rajasthan, it gives me the sensation to create. The vibrancy, the beauty, the vastness, and the color.
Much more than Tamluk ever did?
That was different. This is different.
What is the difference?
That is like my backbone. That is looking forward.
Well put. Well said.
Thank you.
You know, faces have also fascinated you. Tell me about your work with faces and figures.
The figurative painting came from Rajasthan. When I was, transported to Rajasthan, before that it was mainly landscape when I was in Calcutta and Tamluk. But travel to Rajasthan painting, the figure was coming in the landscape. Later on, the figure became the dominant part in my art.
So Rajasthan transformed your art.
Big way, and the color also.
Which is your eureka moment?
I've never still thought of it. Still searching.
Still searching for your eureka moment?
Still searching.
All right, so when you get one, let me know.
Sure.
You know, the schoolboy who defied his father to the much sought after artist Paresh Maity, what would you say about yourself? And please don't say I'm still searching, we know that. But how would you evaluate yourself?
Yes, what I wanted to do at the first day, in the spark of the moment, still I'm doing it. And I want to continue that till the end of my breath.
Did your father live to see how far you have reached?
Yes, he saw, not some years back, he saw that.
And what did he say to you?
He was always happy.
And does your mother understand what you mean to the world of art today and your stature, given that she too was unhappy initially with your career choice?
Mother was never unhappy. When I ran away and came back, she said, "You should have told me. Why you didn't tell me?"
But does she understand the stature and what you have achieved?
She understands, but she never expresses. She never talks.
Marrying Jayashri. Tell me about that and the good and bad about having an artist for a partner.
It just happened. I never thought of it. Again, the spark of the moment it happened. It's nice, that your companion understand your art. But don't worry, we have 8 artists in the family.
Tell me about that. I didn't know that.
Yes, Jayashri's uncle Shakti Varman, own father's brother. His wife, Maite Deltile, artist, French. Their daughter is an artist. Me and my wife. Our son is a photographer, artist. My nephew, my sister's son. और तो कुछ होता नहीं, art ही होता है. So we have artists everywhere, every corner of our house. If there is outsider comes, they will go crazy.
But is Jayashri your worst critic or your best critic?
Not really. I don't think we have learned criticism. We have learned appreciation.
How would you rate her work?
Very good. She has her own language, and which she has created in many years practicing art.
I will end on a serious note about the art scene today. What pains you the most and what do you feel compelled to change?
What I feel that today's art world, that there is a big sense of shortcut. Birju Maharaj's daughter used to study with us in sculpture section. So through Speak Mackey, he used to come very often. One day he said, in 1991, he said, "Jitna hi khodega, itna hi gehrai hoga." So that shortcut is there, which I feel very, very sorry for that.
On that note, Mr. Paresh Maity, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and thank you for taking us through this world of art, through your world of art and creation.
Really wonderful, talking to you, Kumkum ji. It was really a lot of untold stories today I have, spoken. And thank you very much once again.
Thank you.